Hi there guys, Tom Quayle here at Sound Effects Premiere, and I'm here to demo a Chase Bliss audio pedal for you. Amazing little pedal this. This is the Wombtone. You can see it down here, just on the floor. And this pedal is basically an analog phaser, and the deal with these Chase Bliss audio products is that they're essentially an analog product with a digital front end. So it allows you huge amounts of control of your modulation and signal path, but the signal path itself is never converted to digital. It always remains in the analog domain, but you still get huge amounts of control. So you've got quite a lot of controls on the front of the pedal. We'll go through those in a minute. And then there's a number of dip switches on the back that allow even further tailoring of the sound, allows you to modulate all of the parameters. So you can even do things like tremolo with this pedal as well. Really, really involved, but cool sounding analog phaser sounds. So here's my clean signal. I'm running through this fantastic custom Fano guitar that they've got at Sound Effects Premiere. My clean signal sounds like this. Using the neck pickup here. If I switch the pedal on, just going to hit this bypass here. You can see we get the LED on and we get this really fat, warm analog chorus. Amazing sound. Now we can tailor this a huge amount. There's loads of controls on here. The front panel itself, really, really simple to use. It's broken down into two sections. We've got the ramp control. Now we'll get into that later. That's to do with our modulation for the dip switches on the back. We can modulate any of the parameters or all of the parameters at the same time. We've got a standard volume control with around 20 dB of boost on there if you so require. We've got our feed control. Now this controls the feedback loop for the phaser. So more extreme settings, if we move over to the right, you'll hear we get a more extreme feedback on our phaser. Very, very cool sounds. So you can hear it pumping away there, really, really nice. If we go fully to the left with our feedback control, much more subtle sound. So if you do any kind of... get very subtle sounds with that, so that's really, really useful to have. The rate control is pretty obvious. This is basically going to change the rate that the phaser modulates at. So as we increase the speed, we can get more extreme effects. Again, super, super fat here, really, really great analog sound. And then fully over to the left, really slow, kind of melodic, well, not melodic, but more kind of mellow phaser sounds. Now, if we do that and increase the feed, you'll hear this really beautiful sweep that we get. We won't go too crazy with this. Now you can probably see that the tap LED, this is our tap tempo, is fluctuating in time with the actual tempo that we've got. So we can tap in our tempo. Okay, it's a nice soft latching switch. Sorry, a soft non-latching switch. So it means that basically it's very easy to tap the tempo in. Really, really nice, again, cool analog sounds. Round and warm, really, really cool. So that's our rate control. And coupled with the tap tempo, we can also use the switch here to do subdivisions. So now we've got 8th notes, so really fast. Very, very cool. And we can have what would effectively be 16th notes as well. Really, really crazy sounds. So whatever we tap in is going to be represented by that particular subdivision. There's a dip switch on the back that allows us to have triplets. We can have 8th note triplets or 16th note triplets as well. Odd subdivisions basically, which is really useful. Now we get into the modu shape control, and this is one of the features of these Chase Bliss audio pedals. This allows us to shape the waveform that we've got for our particular phase effect. So if we go to something fairly kind of slow, and with the feedback about halfway up, we can change the depth of the waveform, so we can go really heavy with the phaser. Super fat. Or we can change the form. Now the form is basically how quickly the waveform ramps up and then decreases back down again. So we can have a fast ramp followed by a slow decrease, or a slow ramp followed by a fast decrease. So where that center point of the waveform is before we've even sort of changed the type of waveform. So if we go fully to the right, we get slightly more rhythmic effects. So hopefully you can hear it's kind of ramping up a little bit slowly and then dipping away quickly. Very, very cool sound. And if we go fully to the left, we've got a fast attack and a slow decay. Really, really cool. And that sounds really cool if we increase the feedback. Fully crazy sound, so really, really, really impressive, the kind of range of sounds you can get from this pedal. Let's decrease the feedback. Now, the really cool thing we can do is we can change the waveform, and a few companies have done this, but what's unique to this particular brand is we can change the start and the end of the waveform independently. So we can, at the moment we're on this sine wave, and we can select between 3 different waveforms here. We've got a sine wave, triangle wave, and a square wave. Let's set the front of the wave to a square wave so we get a harsh attack here. Let's just bring the form back to the center so we've got a standard waveform. So now we've got a harsher attack but a softer decay. Now if we make the end of the wave a square wave as well, now we've got some really cool rhythmic effects. Let's set both to a triangle. Slightly softer in terms of the attack. And let's bring the depth down to get something slightly more musical. So very, very pretty sounds here, or very aggressive sounds, depending on what you're after, but you've really got the full range. And again, bear in mind that along with that, you can then use the dip switches on the back to modulate any particular parameter you want, or all of the parameters. So you could modulate the volume for a tremolo effect, you could modulate the rate, you can modulate the depth, you can modulate the feedback level. So you can really get some crazy sounds, some incredible rhythmic sounds that are not available anywhere else on the market, completely unique to this pedal. And of course, with all of that control, you've also got the analog signal path and even the function to save 2 presets. So the very last switch that we got here allows us to switch on the left for our first preset. A beautiful, lush, slow kind of phaser. And then to the right, we can store another preset. Storing presets is very easy to do on this as well. We've got a fast, crazy phaser. So there you have it. That's the Chase Bliss Audio Wombtone. Fantastic analog phaser with digital front end. Hope you've enjoyed the demo, and I'll see you next time, guys.